Lucas Reed had banned music from his mansion years ago, until the night he heard it again. The melody wasn't from a piano or speaker. It was coming from the playroom, where his paralyzed daughter was laughing. Outside, snow fell heavy over Seattle, layering rooftops and whispering against frosted windows. Inside, the Reed mansion glittered with Christmas lights no one dared turn on. A perfect house for a man who hated the holidays. Lucas stood at the grand staircase, tie loosened, eyes like winter glass. He was a billionaire who could buy everything, except joy. Since the accident that took his wife and Lily's legs, the only sound he trusted was silence. That night, silence broke. Soft music drifted from the playroom. A child's tune, old and haunting. He frowned, each step echoing through marble halls. Then he froze. Through the doorway, a barefoot woman twirled. Maya Brown, the new nanny. Her movements were gentle, defiant, full of life. Beside her, Lily's small hands clapped against her chair. Eyes alight for the first time in years, Lucas's jaw tightened. Music was forbidden. Emotion was weakness. But as Maya's shadow spun across the Christmas lights, something inside him, something buried long ago, flickered awake. Before the silence, there was music. Laughter once danced through the Reed mansion. Piano notes floating down the staircase, Elena's soft humming blending with the sound of little feet tapping on marble. Lucas Reed used to watch his wife and daughter spinning beneath the glow of Christmas lights, believing life had given him everything. Until the night it all shattered. It was Christmas Eve, 3 years ago. Snowfall blanketed Seattle in white silence, roads slick and silver under street lamps. Lucas drove his family home after a charity gala, one hand steady on the wheel, the other glued to his phone. An urgent call from investors. "Just 2 minutes," he'd said. Elena smiled sadly. "Not everything can wait, Luke. Especially us." The crash was instant. Tires skidded, glass exploded, metal screamed. When Lucas woke, snow was falling through a shattered windshield. His wife's hand lay limp against his. In the back seat, Lily cried softly, trapped in twisted steel. The paramedics called it a miracle that she lived. To Lucas, it felt like a sentence. Elena was gone. Lily survived, but could no longer walk. In the months that followed, guilt hollowed Lucas from the inside. He built walls around his grief, literal and emotional. The mansion that once sang with carols became a tomb. He fired the choir, canceled holiday parties, banned music entirely. Even the sight of Christmas lights made his chest tighten. He told himself silence was peace, but it was punishment. Lily stopped talking after the funeral. Therapists called it trauma. Lucas called it justice. Every wheelchair movement echoed through the halls like a ghost. He couldn't bear to look at her without seeing the crash replaying in his mind. Instead of comforting her, he hid behind work. Endless meetings, contracts, the safe rhythm of control. 3 years passed. The house aged, not in years, but in spirit. The air smelled of disinfectant and loneliness. Staff whispered that Mr. Reed had become colder than the Seattle snow. They weren't wrong. He had turned grief into routine. Breakfast at 7, therapy at 10, silence by nightfall. And then, one gray December morning, Maya Brown arrived. She was nothing like the mansion around her. Her coat was thin, her boots worn, her smile too alive for a place so still. She had once been a ballet dancer, a rising star whose name glimmered on posters downtown. Critics had called her light in motion, but dreams didn't pay hospital bills. When her mother fell ill, Maya abandoned the stage, caring for her until the very end. After her mother's death, the music stopped. Maya took any job she could find, cleaning offices, babysitting, folding linens in silence. When the agency called about a holiday nanny position for a wealthy widower, she almost said no. But something in the woman's voice, "It's a little girl who doesn't speak anymore," pulled her in. Her first day at the Reed mansion was like stepping into a photograph. Beautiful, frozen, lifeless. The butler led her through quiet halls. No laughter, no warmth, just the ticking of a distant clock. Then she saw Lily. The girl sat by a frosted window, her reflection fading into the snow. For a heartbeat, their eyes met, dark meeting bright, and Maya felt something stir deep within her. It wasn't pity, it was recognition. She, too, had once been trapped in silence. That night, as snowflakes drifted outside her tiny staff window, Maya whispered into the dark, "If there's any music left in me, let it find her." She didn't yet know that this silent prayer would soon break every rule in the house and bring a miracle that even the coldest man in Seattle could not deny. The first morning, Maya met Lily. Frost still clung to the mansion windows. Seattle's skyline glittered faintly beyond the fog, and the world outside looked alive, unlike the rooms within. Maya followed the butler through the hall, her shoes soft against marble. The mansion breathed rules: no music, no noise, no laughter. She could almost feel the silence pressing against her ribs. When the butler paused by the playroom door, he spoke in a low, measured tone. "Miss Brown, this is where Miss Lily spends most of her time. Mr. Reed prefers minimal disturbance." Inside, the air felt fragile. Lily sat near the window, small and still, her hands resting on the armrests of her wheelchair. A patch of sunlight brushed her face, making her hair shimmer like gold dust, but she didn't move to meet it. "Good morning, sweetheart," Maya whispered, her voice gentle, musical by instinct. Lily didn't answer. Only her eyes flickered, a quick glance, wary but curious, before turning back to the falling snow. Maya noticed a little wooden ballerina figurine on the windowsill. Dust had gathered around it. Carefully, she brushed it clean and smiled. "She looks like she misses dancing," she said softly, more to herself than to the child. For the faintest moment, Lily's gaze lifted toward her. That was enough for Maya. Days passed in quiet rhythm. Maya followed every rule: cleaning, cooking, reading silently by Lily's side. Yet each time she entered the playroom, she felt the air lighten just a little, as if the house itself were exhaling after years of holding its breath. Sometimes, when Lucas came home late, he'd find Maya quietly humming while organizing Lily's books. He never said a word, but his gaze lingered, equal parts irritation and confusion. It had been years since anyone had dared to hum in his home. One afternoon, while tidying the shelves, Maya found a small music box hidden behind a stack of therapy papers. Its lid was chipped, its wind-up key rusted, but when she turned it gently, a faint melody spilled out, delicate, imperfect, hauntingly familiar. Across the room, Lily stirred, her head tilted. Her eyes widened slightly, and for the first time, she didn't look past Maya. She looked at her. Maya froze. "Do you like it?" she asked softly. No reply. But Lily's fingers twitched, just once. Encouraged, Maya wound the box again, letting the tune fill the air like a whisper of forgotten warmth. The melody wrapped around them, two souls trapped by silence, now breathing the same fragile rhythm. The next day, Maya brought the music box again. She sat on the floor beside Lily, not speaking, just listening together. Then, without thinking, her body remembered the way to move when words aren't enough. She rose, letting her arms trace slow arcs through the air. A quiet dance, nothing like the stage, no spotlight, just motion soft as snowfall. The floor creaked faintly beneath her steps. And something shifted. Lily's lips curved, just slightly, but real. A flicker of joy breaking through the ice. From the hallway, Mr. Harris, the butler, stopped mid-step. He watched the scene, eyes softening. For the first time in years, there was life in that room again. Later that night, Maya whispered her prayer again. "Thank you," she breathed, tears glinting in the faint glow of Christmas lights she had secretly strung along her window. The next morning, Lily waited for her by the door, wordless but expectant. When Maya entered, she raised one tiny hand, gesturing weakly toward the music box. Maya smiled. "All right then, little one, let's dance." As the soft tune began to play, the mansion, once frozen in sorrow, felt its first heartbeat in years. For weeks, the mansion had begun to breathe again. It started as something fragile, Lily's soft laughter, the hum of an old music box, the rhythm of feet moving in secret. Every day, Maya helped the little girl push a little further. A raised arm, a curl of the finger, a giggle that startled even the butler. The Reed mansion, once an echo chamber of grief, was slowly learning how to live again. But happiness, in Lucas Reed's world, was never meant to last. He first heard the whispers from the staff. The nanny's teaching her to dance. She's breaking the rules. But the girl's smiling again. The gossip was gentle, but for Lucas, it stung. The rules existed for a reason. Order had kept him sane when love had destroyed him. That evening, Mr. Harris, the butler who had served the family since before Elena's death, finally spoke. "Sir," he began carefully, "perhaps you should see something for yourself." Lucas looked up from his desk, tired eyes narrowing. "Is this about Miss Brown again?" "Yes, sir, but not as you think." He didn't respond, just gestured for Harris to leave, but the words lingered, gnawing. He tried to return to his work, yet the silence of the mansion felt different now, too alive, too uncertain. The next afternoon, as the sky dimmed to slate and snow began to fall over Seattle, Lucas arrived home early. He set his briefcase down, loosened his tie, and froze. From down the hall came a sound he hadn't heard in 3 years. Music. A slow, imperfect melody. A tune from a music box he thought had been thrown away long ago. He followed it through the marble corridor. Light spilled softly from the playroom, golden against the gray. And there she was, Maya Brown, barefoot, hair unbound, moving in graceful arcs across the floor. Her arms traced invisible patterns in the air, the rhythm of a heart remembering how to live. And beside her, Lily clapped weakly, eyes sparkling, laughter bubbling like a sound rediscovered. Lucas's breath caught. For a moment, he saw Elena. Her laughter, her defiance, her life. But memory twisted into pain and pain into anger. "What the hell is this?" His voice sliced through the room. The music stopped. The ballerina inside the box kept spinning, the fragile melody collapsing into chaos. Maya turned, startled. Lily flinched. The light in the room seemed to dim. I was helping her move," Maya stammered. "Move?" Lucas's tone hardened. "You call this therapy? Dancing like it's some cheap performance?" "Sir, she's responding." Maya's voice trembled but didn't break. "She's laughing again. She lifted her hand on her own." "I said enough." His tone snapped like ice. "I gave you rules, Miss Brown. You don't get to play savior in my home." Lily's small voice whispered something then. Soft, fragile. "Daddy?" Both adults froze. It was the first word she had spoken since the accident. But instead of wonder, silence fell. Lucas blinked, disbelief and fury colliding. He looked at Maya, his voice raw. "Did you make her say that? Are you trying to manipulate her emotions for your own attention?" Maya's breath caught. "You think I would use her? I think you're overstepping. She's your daughter, not your project." Maya burst out, tears glinting. "You're so afraid to feel you'd rather keep her broken than risk believing she can heal." Lucas's face twisted with old pain. "Get out! Sir, please! Get out!" Her chest heaved. "You can fire me, Mr. Reed, but you can't stop what's already begun." The words hung in the air, trembling like the last note of a song before silence devours it. When the door shut behind her, Lily began to cry. Quiet, shaking sobs that ripped through the cold mansion. Lucas stood frozen, watching his daughter crumble in a way he didn't know how to fix. That night, the house returned to its old self, sterile, silent, heartless. Lucas sat by the window in his study, drink in hand, snow reflecting off the glass. His reflection stared back, tired, hollow, and afraid. For the first time, he wondered if Maya had been right, if fear had become his only faith. Across the city, Maya waited at a lonely bus stop. Her shoes were soaked, her breath fogged in the frozen air. She clutched her tote, whispering into the snowstorm. Don't let this be the end, not when she was so close. Back at the mansion, Lily refused to sleep. She held the music box tight to her chest. Its melody played faintly through the night, reaching the corners of the house like a ghost. Lucas heard it from his room, the same tune he'd once hated. He sat in the dark, listening, his throat tightening. For the first time in years, he didn't turn it off, and somewhere, deep in the stillness of his grief, a single question began to echo. What if the maid was right? Snow had swallowed Seattle whole by Christmas Eve. The city glowed beneath a pale sky, soft lights trembling through the storm. In the Reed mansion, the silence felt heavier than ever, not the quiet of peace, but of something broken. For 3 days, Maya was gone. Her room stood empty, sheets folded, a faint trace of perfume left behind, the kind of scent that lingered like memory. Lily hadn't spoken since the night she left. She refused food, therapy, even light. Her world had shrunk to a music box and a window. Lucas told himself it was for the best. The rules were back, the house was quiet, everything was in order. And yet, order had never felt so cruel. He found himself stopping outside Lily's door more often, listening to the small creak of the wheelchair as she shifted restlessly. Once, he caught her whispering to the music box, a sound both eerie and heartbreaking. "She'll come back," she murmured. Maya promised. That night, Lucas sat in his office, papers untouched. The storm beat against the windows like an accusation. He glanced at a photo on his desk. Elena holding baby Lily, both laughing under Christmas lights. It struck him then how long it had been since he'd heard that sound. "Maybe," he whispered into the glass. "It was never about the rules." The next morning, Christmas Eve, dawned silver and still. Lucas walked into the playroom, expecting to find Lily asleep. Instead, he froze. The girl sat upright, her tiny hands clutching the arms of her chair. Her eyes were bright, determined. The music box lay open beside her, its ballerina spinning endlessly. "Lily," he said softly. "Daddy," she breathed. Can I dance again?" His throat tightened. He knelt beside her. "Sweetheart, you can't." But before he could finish, the doorbell rang. When he opened the front door, snow swept in. And there she was. Maya Brown, coat dusted in white, hair damp, eyes shining with quiet resolve. She clutched a small wrapped package. "I'm sorry to come uninvited," she said, "but I had to bring this." Lucas's voice caught between relief and pride. "Why? Haven't you broken enough rules?" Maya's gaze didn't waver. Only the ones that needed breaking. She held out the box. "This belonged to Elena." He blinked. "How did you—" "I found it in the attic while cleaning. I wasn't sure if you'd want it back, but Lily asked me about it. She recognized her mother in the photo taped inside." He opened the box. Inside lay a pair of tiny ballet slippers, worn at the edges, pale pink fading to ivory. He remembered buying them the year Lily turned 5, her first Christmas recital. Something in him broke open. She keeps saying she wants to dance again, Maya whispered. You can keep pretending it's impossible, or you can let her try. Lucas's jaw clenched. And if she falls, then you catch her. The words landed with the weight of truth. For a long moment, they stood in silence, snow falling thick beyond the doorway. Then Lucas stepped aside. Come in. In the playroom, Lily's eyes lit up when she saw Maya. She gasped, clapping her hands weakly. You came back! Maya smiled through tears. Of course I did, sweetheart. I promised we'd finish our dance. The three of them stood together. The grieving father, the faithful Nanny, the little girl who had forgotten how to believe. Outside, the storm softened. Inside, Maya knelt beside Lily and whispered, Do you remember the first step? Lily nodded faintly. You hold my hands. So Maya did. The music box began to play its slow, fragile tune. Lily's arms trembled, then steadied. Maya's voice guided her softly. 1, 2, breathe. Lucas watched, frozen, afraid to move or breathe. Then it happened. A twitch. Small, but real. Lily's right foot shifted, then her left. Her face lit with awe and pain and wonder all at once. Daddy! She gasped. Look! Lucas fell to his knees beside her. His hands trembled as he reached out, afraid to touch what might vanish. My God! Maya steadied the child gently. It's okay, Lily. You're safe. The little girl's legs moved again, uncertain, slow, then lifted. For the first time in 3 years, she stood. The moment froze in light. The Christmas tree flickered alive behind them, glowing in gold and green, as if the house itself were celebrating. Lucas pressed his forehead to his daughter's, tears breaking freely. You're standing, baby. You're standing. Lily's small voice trembled with joy. You said miracles weren't real, she whispered. He choked out a laugh through his tears. I was wrong. The butler appeared in the doorway, eyes wide, hand over his mouth. Even the nurse sobbed quietly. The entire house, once a tomb, pulsed with life again. Maya stepped back, tears streaking her face. Lucas looked up at her, eyes raw with gratitude. How did you? She shook her head. I didn't do anything, Mr. Reed. She did. Love did. He stood slowly, crossing to her. You brought it back. No, she whispered. You just stopped hiding from it. Outside, church bells began to ring. Their sound carried through the snow like a benediction. Lucas turned toward the window, arms around his daughter, voice soft and breaking. Thank you, Maya, for giving me back my family. For the first time in years, laughter filled the Reed mansion again. Pure, unstoppable, real. And as the clock struck midnight, Lily took another step, then another. The Christmas miracle had come, not through wealth, not through science, but through faith, love, and the courage to dance again. Morning arrived like a promise. Snow blanketed Seattle in white serenity, muffling the world in peace. Inside the Reed mansion, everything felt new, as if grief itself had melted overnight. The Christmas tree glowed softly in the corner, its ornaments reflecting golden light across the room where Lily now stood, small braces supporting her trembling legs. She was smiling, truly smiling. Maya knelt beside her, helping her balance. Easy, sweetheart, one step at a time. Lucas watched from the doorway, still disbelieving. For years, he had woken to the sound of silence. Now he woke to laughter, the rhythm of footsteps, the sound of life returning. When Lily took 3 steps toward him, his breath hitched. Daddy, look! He dropped to his knees and opened his arms wide. I see you, my brave girl. Lily stumbled, then fell right into his embrace, giggling. The sound filled the house like sunlight flooding a dark room. Behind them, Maya wiped her tears quietly. "Stay," Lucas said softly, turning toward her. "Please." She hesitated. "Mr. Reed?" "Lucas," he corrected. "You've done more for this family than anyone ever has. If I could buy what you gave us, I'd pay any price. But I can't, because what you gave me isn't money. It's hope." Maya's eyes shimmered. "Hope doesn't need payment, just belief." He smiled faintly. "Then teach me how to believe again." The day unfolded like a dream. For the first time since Elena's death, the mansion doors opened wide. Staff hung garlands along the staircase. Mr. Harris arranged candles near the fireplace, muttering with a smile, "About time we had Christmas back." As evening descended, guests from the neighborhood, once too afraid to visit, arrived with gifts and carols. The mansion pulsed with warmth and laughter. Lily, standing proudly between her father and Maya, greeted everyone like a little star. Outside, snowflakes drifted past the tall glass windows, catching the reflection of light and music. A piano melody began. Slow, hesitant, everyone turned. It was Lucas. His fingers, rusty from years of silence, found the keys of the piano he'd ordered returned that very morning. He played the lullaby Elena used to sing to Lily, notes trembling at first, then strong. Maya stood beside the tree, watching him with quiet wonder. When their eyes met, no words were needed. Forgiveness passed between them like breath in winter air. Lily clapped softly. "Daddy, you're playing!" He smiled through tears. "Because someone reminded me music isn't the enemy. Silence is." Later that night, after the guests left and the candles burned low, Lucas stepped onto the porch. Snowflakes landed on his coat, melting instantly. Maya joined him, a cup of cocoa in hand. "Beautiful night," she said. He nodded. For the first time in years. They stood in silence, watching the sky glow faintly pink from the city lights. Somewhere far away, church bells rang midnight. Christmas Day. Lucas turned to her. "You know, I used to think miracles were just stories for people who couldn't face reality. And now? Now I think reality is where miracles choose to hide, until someone brave enough finds them." Maya smiled. "You found yours?" He shook his head. "No, she found us." He glanced through the window where Lily was asleep, the music box still spinning softly by her bed. As the wind whispered through the pines, Maya whispered, "Merry Christmas, Lucas." He looked at her for a long, quiet moment, the kind that feels like both an ending and a beginning. "Merry Christmas, Maya." Inside, the house glowed with the kind of warmth money could never buy, the warmth of forgiveness, faith, and a love reborn through pain. Upstairs, Lily stirred in her sleep, her lips curving into a sleepy smile. In her dream, she was dancing again, not in a wheelchair, but under falling snow, her parents' laughter echoing beside her, and Maya's soft voice saying, "One step at a time." Downstairs, Lucas whispered the words he once couldn't bear to say aloud. Family matters more than wealth, and Christmas miracles, they heal the deepest wounds. Outside, the church bells tolled again. The snow kept falling, gently, endlessly, as if heaven itself was clapping for the little girl who learned to stand, and for the hearts that finally did too.